Dividing rational numbers. So this looks like a fraction, right? But it's a division problem because when we have one number over another number, that means that we're dividing. So I have two options for dividing this, and I'm going to show you both of them. Pick the one that works best for you. The first way I could do this is by doing long division. So if I do long division, the 0.4 would go on the outside, and the 12.8 would go on the inside. Now, I know it's negative, but I'll come back to the negative at the end. When you're dividing with decimals, the number on the outside can't be a decimal. So you have to move that decimal point to the end of the number. Then the number of spaces it takes to get it to the end, you have to do the other decimal point, that same number of spaces, and then bring it up. So now we're ready to divide. So 4 can't go into 1, right? So 4 goes into 12 3 times. And then 3 times 4 is 12. I get no remainder. Bring down my 8. 4 goes into 8 2 times. 4 times 2 is 8. That's it. My answer is 32. Let me show you another way. I can also do this by using the distributive property, but maybe in a way that you haven't seen it used before. I can break this number up into 12. Oh, and I forgot to say, the last one, our answer should be negative, right? Because it's a negative divided by a positive, so we should have had negative 32. Okay, so I can break the 12 point up into 12 and 0.8, right? So I can do 12 plus 0.8 would give me 12.8. Again, I'm going to leave the negative till the end. Hopefully I don't forget this time though. So I can divide each one of these by 0.4. 12 divided by 0.4 is 30. 0.8 divided by 0.4 is 2. And I get 32. And because it's a negative divided by a positive, my final answer is negative. For this one, we're dividing fractions. So you may remember that saying from a long time ago, keep, change, flip. That's what we want to use here when we're dividing fractions. So I'm going to keep the negative 3/4. And as I've told you before, it doesn't matter if the negative goes on the top, the bottom, or out in front. But I'm going to keep it with the top number so I don't forget about it. Then I'm going to change to multiply, and I'm going to flip the second fraction. So I'm going to make it negative 8 over 7. When you get to this point, I'm going to show you how to do it with or without canceling. So if I don't cancel first, then I just go straight across. Negative 3 times negative 8 is positive 24. And 4 times 7 is 28. I can divide both of these numbers by 4. So you want to think of the greatest common factor for each one. And then I get 6 over 7 as my final answer. Now the other way to do this is to cross cancel first. So let me show you what that looks like. Cross canceling means that I look at the numbers that are diagonal from each other and see if they have any common factors. They do, right? 8 and 4 are both divisible by 4. Divide 4 by 4 and I get 1. Divide 8 by 4 and I get 2. Now when I do my multiplication, again I just do top times top and bottom times bottom. So I get negative 3 times negative 2 and 1 times 7. So again, I'm going to show you two ways to do this one. The first one is just to do the multiplication. So negative times a positive means my answer will be negative. And now I'm just going to multiply 2.5 times 0.6. If you don't remember how to multiply decimals, you don't line up the decimal points. They just happen to line up in this problem, but we do not line them up as a rule. So 6 times 5 is 30. 0 carry the 3. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 is 15. And then I look at how many decimal places are in my problem. This has 1 decimal place. This is another decimal place, so I've got 1 and another 1. Together, that means I need 2 decimal places in my answer. So my final answer here would be negative 1.5. All right, now let's break up that negative 2.5 the same way we did for the first problem. So just like I did with the division in that first problem, I can break up the 2.5 into 2 and 0.5, right? And again, I know that the answer is going to be negative, so I'm just going to do it the rest of the problem just with the number 2.5. So I can break this up so that I have 0.6 times 2 plus 0.5, right? Again, this is just an option. And then I can use the distributive property. So I would distribute, which means multiply. 0.6 times 2. If I double 0.6, 0.6 plus 0.6, right, would be 1.2. 0.6 times 0.5, right, would be 30, but you need 2 decimal places, right? So it would be 0.30. And when you multiply, when you add decimals, you do line up the decimal places. So I'd have 1.2 plus 0.30, or I could just put 0.3, right? And I get 1.5, but of course it's negative, right? So I got the same answer. This is how you do it by breaking the number up and using the distributive property. And now we've got another division with rational numbers again. So we're going to use that same, not rule, but the same saying we used last time, which was keep, change, flip. So this is going to become, we're going to keep, change, so it becomes multiply, and flip. Now you might be thinking, but it's not a fraction, right? How do we flip something that's not a fraction? You can make any integer or whole number into a fraction by putting it over 1. So if I flip it, it becomes 1/8. Now I've got a negative times a negative, so I know that my final answer will be positive, right? So I'm just going to write a positive right here. So now I don't have to worry about the signs anymore. But again, with this problem, I'm going to show you 2 ways to do it. The first way, we would have to make sure both numbers are fractions. So we'd have to convert our mixed number to a fraction. So if you don't remember how to do that, we multiply the bottom times the number out in front, and then we add the numerator, right? So if I convert 1 3/4 to a fraction, 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. This becomes 7/4. And now remember, my problem over here, I'm multiplying, right? So 7/4 times 1/8. Again, I'm leaving off the negatives because I already know that a negative times a negative equals a positive. All right, so multiplying fractions. That's the one fraction operation that's easy peasy. So 7 times 1 is 7, and 4 times 8 is 32. And that would be it. That would be my answer. So let me show you the other way. Now the other way is going to involve, again, breaking up the mixed number into pieces or 2 parts. So we start off the same way. Keep, change, flip. We still know that a negative times a negative is a positive, so the answer is still going to be positive. Here's where it's different. We're going to break 1 3/4 up into 1 plus 3/4, right? So I'm going to break that up into 1 plus 3/4, and I'm multiplying that by 1/8. So I'm going to use the distributive property again. So I'm going to, just because it's on the right side doesn't make it any different. So I'm going to distribute in 1/8. 1/8 times 1 is 1/8. And 1/8 times 3/4, I do top times top and bottom times bottom. Now the problem here is that I don't have a common denominator, right? But 8 does go into 32. So I could rewrite 1/8 with a common denominator of 32. And to figure out what that top number would be, I'd have to multiply by, oh wait, actually, let me do this the other way around. Let me do it off to the side because I don't want to confuse anybody. So I'm going to rewrite 1/8. So 1/8 with a denominator of 32. So I have to figure out what would I multiply by 8 to get 32. Well, I'd multiply by 4. So I have to also multiply by 4 on top. So now I get 4 over 32. So I can rewrite my problem, 4 over 32 plus 3 over 32 equals 7 over 32. And again, a negative times a negative is a positive, so my answer is positive. So I got the same thing. So whether you choose to just multiply and divide the numbers together, or you want to split the numbers up and then multiply and divide and add them back together, either way is fine. Whatever works best and whatever makes the most sense to you.